Panther Nation, it's the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com.
I had fun, man, just out, you guys joking, we working at the same time, putting the work in as a team. Like I said, I'm just glad to be with the guys,
My favorite night of the week?
We're going to go out there, and we're playing to win. We're not out here just to just show up. We're out here to win.
I don't want guys that want to win, because really, who doesn't? Nobody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. I want players that hate to lose.
Well, this embodies everything that we are as a team, as an organization. Our motto is keep pounding. And that's what we do, you know what I'm saying?
What's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it with my best buddies. Right now, we have one who is away because of a big family event and not a positive one. So, Mel, thoughts and prayers are for you and your wife, who has recently passed away. We'll talk more about this later in the show. But I'm here with my buddy Joe Riolano. Talk a little Panthers football. Are you there, Joey?
Tony, I'm here and I am ready. I'm excited about it being Tuesday night. I'm terribly sad about the performance that the Carolina Panthers had this past Sunday, which we will get into soon enough. I want to say hello to all of our faithful viewers. It is glad to see you guys already starting up the conversation in the chat room. I want to wish all of you a very happy new year. And I'm sure several of you are experiencing this winter weather. I ask that you please be safe. And if you don't have to go out, folks, don't. Let's be around for this entire new year, okay? And hopefully see the Panthers win at the Super Bowl.
Well, Joe, winning the Super Bowl is far from my mind after the performance we had. Tonight's show is Panthers head to playoffs after squandering division title. It is episode 17.47. We're rocking and rolling all season long, game in, game out, Joey. But this is probably I'm going to go ahead and admit that this was the hardest Panther game for me maybe to ever watch. Maybe disappointing. The Super Bowl was or both of those Super Bowls were the most disappointing in that, I was sad. This one was painful. Joey, the Panthers, they lose. What was the score? 22-10, I believe, to the Atlanta Falcons on the road. It's not losing that was necessarily the problem. It was how bad I thought that they looked in the process. But to rub a little salt in the wound, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers upset the New Orleans Saints, which we thought was a long shot to happen, but a shot which would have given the Panthers kind of a way to sneak the division title out by beating Atlanta, something they've done this season, something that they know they could do. But instead, they laid a stinker. The playoffs are set, though, and Carolina will play the New Orleans Saints on Sunday at 4:40. But I got to tell you this, if the Panthers get blanked by the Saints like they did this past Sunday by the Falcons, heads are going to roll. And you got to think, with a new owner coming in, with a management change, Rivera has seen squandered before his eyes. We're 11-5 in the division. That's sending 3 teams to the playoffs, but you're as good as you finish. And the last 2 weeks have been bad, Joey. And the third week like that, I don't know who could survive that. So, Joe, where are we at, really?
There's a bit of irony here because in the past, December has been a good month to the Panthers and Ron Rivera in particular.
Certainly.
So to see this performance we were subject to on Sunday, it's really disheartening. We were bad, man. I mean, we were just bad. And it wasn't just one person. It was, everyone. Cam was atrocious.
He was horrible. He was awful. The worst I've ever seen him.
Worst game I've ever seen Cam play. from top to bottom, from the first snap through the last, it was his worst performance. And that's where it starts. As Cam goes, the team goes. And it's been true, whether good or bad. As Cam goes, the team goes. So to see Cam start, what was he, 0 for 8? Or
Joey,
0 for 9?
he was 0 for 8, and his first completion was on the 9th pass for a 3-yard loss.
Right, to a running back, if I remember.
Yes, to Christian McCaffrey.
Right, and that is really pathetic. Now, I know that is not all on Cam. You know, some of that is receivers, some of that is play calling, but Cam was bad all day with his passes. High. Everything he threw was high. And to me, I noticed it right away, and it really upset me, with Cam throwing off his back foot again.
Yeah. All right, so Joey, I've watched people cape up for Cam all week long. And, you know, I'm one of the guys that's usually leading the charge when it comes to that. In fact, I think it was the Bears game earlier in the season where I went through and charted every pass and tried to show that even though his completion percentage was low, that his reads were good and that the passes were under duress or something to that effect. And I was able to prove that, I believe. But in this case, Joey, there's no way. There's nothing. I mean, you can talk about not having talent around you. You can talk about not having Jonathan Stewart back there in that game. But there's nothing you can give me that will eradicate the fact that Cam was just god-awful in that game.
Right.
I mean, it was beyond just off.
Right. No excuse. Going into coverage, forcing the ball. You know, just it was bad all the way around. And we can't have that, man. We can't have that going forward. You know, we'll be eliminated. And, you know, I think our confidence is going to be shook as a unit.
It should be. Now, I'm not saying that this team is I'm not saying that this team, this loss negates everything that they've accomplished this season. But what I want to go to and just say is for an 11-5 team, we have not looked 11-5 the last 2 weeks. We've
5-11.
We have.
Right.
I have never seen a team that is 11-5. This is how I talk about like the Titans. Is how I feel about my team right now. Is after that game, is what I usually say about the Titans, and that is they're a 9-win team, but they're not really a 9-win team. I've said this about Baltimore all year. They're a 9, you know, but they're not. The Panthers. What I find is crazy is that for the NFC South being the toughest division, it sure seemed like nobody wanted to win it on Sunday. The Saints, they lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, something that you think is far-fetched. And the Atlanta Falcons tried to continually give us the game throughout the day. They did not try to win at all. The Panthers beat themselves over and over. But you're right, Cam Newton was it was bad. There's two things I think that really were troubling, and that was it's not just for me the mechanics or this and that. Things are off a little bit. They didn't look prepared. They didn't look like they knew what. There were few people that were on the same page. And that has to start with Cam, because if Cam is off, nobody else can be on. They asked Mike Shula about this in an interview I saw that you can go read, like Q&A with Mike Shula on Panthers.com. And he mentioned that they continually need to prepare Cam. Somebody I saw mention that Cam was sick this week or sounded sick in the press conference. So that may be for part of the reason he's dragging ass or whatever. But when he threw those interceptions, dude, they were just like in a different area code from people.
Oh, yeah. They were awful. I mean, but that's what he had done all day.
Yeah.
All day he was doing that. So it wasn't like these were throws that were fluke,
Yeah.
overthrows. He was overthrowing everyone all day. And it was, maybe it was his mechanics, maybe it was not being on the same page with receivers. And I think we saw that. We saw that in particular I remember one throw to Greg Olsen when we were inside the red zone. Cam threw what looked to be an out route when Greg Olsen had run a 9 route and was going on a fly. So, that showed me right there that they weren't on the same page. And, like you said, that's a lack of preparation. That is a complete lack of preparation. And to me, they seem to be very uninspired. They weren't playing like a team that had a chance to win the division.
Completely. I mean, completely. It was, to me, and you can call me a Debbie Downer, whatever you want to say, it was the worst game. I cannot remember a game where I felt like the Panthers couldn't win. And it's been a long time since I've felt like that. In fact, I haven't felt that way since before we drafted Cam Newton. But it really just seemed like this. No matter what the defense did, I felt like if the defense would have gotten 3 interceptions, we still couldn't have won that game. It was hard to watch. We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't throw the ball. We couldn't move the ball. We couldn't get any momentum. There was a long drive at the end of the second quarter. But even then, after that, when you come out and you get the ball after halftime and you can't do anything with it, again, it just showed that the Panthers were struggling. Now, the question is this something that you can shake off in a week and get back to form? Certainly. I think the Panthers could bounce back. But right now, this is 2 weeks where we have not looked good at all. And to me, this goes beyond just Cam Newton. Here's where I can cape up for Cam Newton, is that Cam did have an atrocious game, but he has to play great. If he doesn't play great, this team can't win. And even if the defense gives you an opportunity to win, it's going to take Cam. And I think that is a referendum on the coaching staff at this point. We can talk about the lack of weapons. We can talk about the same conversation that we've had for the past 4 seasons. Where is the talent around Cam Newton? Devin Funchess is about all that you have. And you know what? Good for Devin Funchess. He's been out there playing. He's been playing about as hard as anybody on that offense has. But I just wonder to me, the Tampa Bay game doesn't look like a fluke if there's 2 weeks in a row we do not look prepared as a unit, as a team. And where does this put us, Joey, if you were to lose against the Saints in a game where it really isn't that close? It doesn't even have to be a blowout, but say you lose 27-14 and you were never really had a chance in that game. Where are we at with a new owner, new GM coming in? I got to believe this is that Ron Rivera immediately goes to the hot seat. I think that Mike Shula has to be gone. If Ron Rivera survives, Mike Shula has to be gone. And it's not whether if it's right or just. We can argue reasons why it hasn't been his fault and this and that. But somebody's got to go, and it's not going to be Cam Newton.
Right.
I mean,
I think you're right. If we squander this opportunity, is the way I'll phrase it. If we squander this opportunity, there's going to be a change made. Whether it's a complete and total overhaul, or if like you said, Shula is the scapegoat and his head rolls, something will happen.
I mean, and I got to believe something's going to happen if we don't win, like, throughout the NFC, if we don't make the NFC Championship.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if that means Rivera.
Well, I mean, let's look at this, okay? I think if we get by the Saints, let's just say we get by the Saints, that means we're going to face the Eagles.
Right.
This Eagles team is nowhere near as good as the one we faced early in the season.
You're right.
The defense, still pretty good, but that offense has taken a dramatic decline in talent. Carson Wentz was the heart and soul of that offense, and they are without their heart and soul right now, so they are nothing more than just a shell of the team they were, in particular on offense. So I believe if we beat the Saints, we have a very good chance of going on to beat the Eagles and making an appearance in the NFC Championship game.
Sure. So those things could happen, Joey. But
if we get that far, I think everybody is certainly safe.
I think Mike Shula goes no matter what.
I think
it's an NFC Championship appearance only that gets Mike Shula, that keeps his job. And the reason, and you know what, maybe I'm not right, but this is what I'm starting to believe, is because I feel like, pretty supportive of Mike Shula and what he's been able to do at times. But I'm starting to think this is Cam is in his, 7th season?
Yep.
Shula was his quarterback's coach. Shula was then his offense and then his offensive coordinator. There's been continuity with those two guys, which has produced a one season that he was an NFL MVP. But what I would say is that he's polished that diamond as well as he can. Okay. And maybe it's just time to get a new cloth, because we need Cam Newton to elevate to the next level of his career. I don't think that he has achieved and attained the top tier of what he is going to be or can be. And I don't think that can only be on him.
You don't think he's peaked?
No, I don't think he's peaked. And I think that you don't ask him to teach himself to be better. He's going. You put new people. Maybe somebody else can get a little bit more out of him, because we shouldn't be getting to parts of the season like this and still have questions. I think that if you put anybody on the field with Cam Newton at this point in his career, and he should be able to at least look better than they did Sunday.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Cam is a quarterback. Cam should be a quarterback, a good enough quarterback now to be able to find open guys. Now, the talent level of our receivers is the lowest point it's been all season. You cannot deny that. But somebody's got to be open. If nobody can get open, then we need to change our scheme.
Yeah.
We need to change the offense that we're trying to do. And that's something that I was discussing with Esoteric Cranium, I believe is who it was. We were talking about on Twitter, changing the offense, going from, the spread to a 2 and 3 tight end set, and running the ball, and then doing play action pass, because, for one, that's where our talent is right now, is in the backfield. That includes running Cam and using every running back. And for two, it would be a total shock to the Saints to see us come and line up with 2 or 3 tight ends for the whole game. They would have to completely and totally change their game plan. They would be game planning on the fly.
Yeah.
They would
come out 5 wide. Come out 5 wide and put Derek Anderson in at quarterback and Cam Newton.
Like,
that's what it's going to take at this moment.
Crazy like that. But, that's something, we have to consider. If this offense can't work with the personnel we have, you have to change the offense.
I don't even believe it's that. I think they gotta play better. And if you can't play just simple plays, then we're 11-5. I don't care who is on the team. If you're an 11-5 team, your backups should at least. I mean, I think we had an off game, but I do think there's a ceiling with this
anomaly.
Team.
You can honestly say that was the worst game of the year. That was even worse than the Chicago game, I think.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, because the defense played pretty well against Chicago. I would say I want to give this is that the only thing keeping it from being the worst game in Panthers history is that the defense played well.
Right.
You know, the defense made some stops. They kept the team in a position to win. Did they win the game straight up for them? No. Did they have some times where they ran on them? You know, that first drive, it looked like it was going to be a long day. But that team, they buckled up the chin strap and they got after those boys. They held Julio, I feel like, for the most part. They contained the running game. They didn't get to Matt Ryan as much as you want. But other than that, I think the worst part about our game was Wilkes. And that's not a negative. He just called the only real mistakes that I saw overall were when we blitzed a little bit on third down and they ate us up on it. You know? I mean, that's what he's been doing all season. So, I mean, it's not like this is new or something to that effect. As I think that the defense played really well in that game against Atlanta, a team that's got some firepower.
They did. Atlanta had some really good opportunities where our defense kept them from scoring touchdowns and held them to 3.
Yeah.
You know,
or just frustrated them entirely. So, to me, that was okay. But I want to point out this when it does come to our defense is that they played a good game while our offense was playing atrocious. At the same time, there's some vulnerabilities on that defense. That's probably the best performance you're going to get out of them aside for some turnovers. Right. And, I mean, maybe we get more pressure. We get more pressure from the defensive line. We need that. But what I mean by it is I watched the New Orleans-Tampa game, or most of it, and I got to say, is the NFL Game Pass, the condensed games are the bomb. No commercials, no timeouts, no nothing. You can watch a game 35 to 40 minutes. So that's pretty cool. And I was watching this one really quickly, and I tell you one thing is that Drew Brees is going to punish us deep. If he can punish us deep. If we ain't sacking him, we can't we can't play the game. We're going to have to play a better game against New Orleans than we played against the Falcons if we want to have a chance on even defense.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to bring our best performance of the year.
Which you should, right? You should. Well, I mean, the playoffs should require that.
This is going to be our third chance against this team. You know what I mean? We should have them figured out by now. Or, if we don't, there is a serious coaching issue.
Right. I could see that. All right, we're going to talk more about the Saints when it comes. We've got Bob Rose coming on the show from the Canal Street Chronicles the third time this year. So we'll be talking more about that.
He's becoming quite a regular on the show, isn't he?
He has. Right now, the Saints are 6.5 point favorites in the game on Sunday. The over/under is 49. Is 49 currently. Started at 48.5. The Falcons. All right, so the Kansas City Chiefs are 9-point favorites against the Titans. The LA Rams are 6.5-point favorites against the Falcons. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 9-point favorites against Buffalo, which I could see Buffalo upsetting them. And Buffalo and Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
The Titans, hold on. The
nice.
Titans do not. The Titans have they play the Kansas City Chiefs. They are 9-point dogs.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they have a chance.
Let's see. Any last news when it comes to this Panthers game? Or recently before Bob comes on. First, Steve Wilks is set to interview with the Bears after the season is ready. Joe, I personally am not worried about him departing for a head coaching position. I don't think he is ready yet. Or actually, I don't know how to judge if he's ready or yet. But we saw McDermott took a couple of years of being considered before he really was considered. I think this is one of those first steps of you're on the radar type looks. But I don't think that I would be comfortable hiring him for a position. I don't know. I just don't know if we've seen a large enough body of work to suggest that he could be a head coach.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know that he's had enough time.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was a position coach for a very long time, but have baby steps, people, baby steps.
Lynn says she bets Wilkes goes to Dave Gettleman.
That makes sense.
Are tight in New York.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
If he's going to be an aggressive as he is on defense, I think an aggressive defensive coach would be more appealing to Dave Gettleman than an aggressive offensive coach. Last note on the game from last week, I got to say this. I'm surprised and disappointed, Joey. Cap looked like a deer in headlights.
He did, didn't he?
Man, we got his opportunity and just fumbled it away. He just looked like he didn't know what was going on. You don't know it.
Screwed the poop.
Yeah, and
really,
I think
really disappointed in him. Just, he didn't look ready, man. Honest to God, he didn't look ready.
I think continued behind this is one of the things that is probably why Cameron Artis-Payne will not get a lot of looks in Carolina at the end of the day. I think he struggles with the zone read. I think I think he just flourishes better on a traditional handoff.
Right, you think he's just line him up behind the fullback and hand it right off to him.
Look, D'Angelo Williams did not prosper in that type of with those types of plays. It's not for everybody. It's a feel thing. You have to trust. You have to have a lot of chemistry, and you got to work with Cam, I think, to do it. And you can't just throw him in there and then be like, here, we're doing pitch plays, we're doing holds, we're doing reads, we're doing, I think that at some point, maybe you should start him off with a regular carry. The first play, just like Cam, run him and get it out of the way. Right. But I was disappointed with Cameron Artis-Payne. He was in consideration for the ice up. But we're going to move on now. We'd like to thank everybody in the YouTube chat for joining the show. We encourage you to give us a thumbs up button. Subscribe, hit the little bell, the notification bell if you like, so you can make sure you stay on top of the latest Panthers news and content from the fan perspective, and as well as follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. But now we'd like to welcome our special guest, Bob Rose from the Canal Street Chronicles. I feel like we have talked to you more. Actually, you might be the first person we've had on over 3 times in one season.
I feel very special, and it is truly an honor. It is truly an honor to be on with you guys. I appreciate it. I was listening to a little bit of the show before I came on and reading through the comments, and all you guys were making some nice comments. Now, I take a little bit of umbrage to the fact I wouldn't consider myself a Panthers hater. You guys are my second favorite team in the division, but to be fair, there's a lot of hate going on throughout this whole division. Thank you guys again for having me on. I hope everybody had a terrific Christmas and a great New Year's and well beyond.
Yes, well, thank you. I tell you one thing, we wouldn't trust you if you really like the Panthers. Like, I would not. Yeah, it's okay to be a hater because I'm a hater of the Saints. Like you, I tend to hate the Falcons more than I hate the Saints, and in your case, than the Panthers. But I was watching that game, Bob. You got to be disappointed. I want to say thank you. Thank you, New Orleans, for giving us a chance, but it turns out we suck too much to take advantage of a great gift. It was like a New Year's toast to us that we could have eked out the division because you guys go and lose to Tampa Bay, who's not a bad team, just hasn't figured out a way to put it together all season. But they seem to do it at the last second against you guys. So thank you, but too bad that we can't accept your gift.
Well, I'm happy you guys returned the gift that we left out there. I mean, yeah, make no mistake about it. Probably exactly like you guys and all the Panther fans and all the other Saints fans out there. I was flipping back and forth between the games. Obviously, as I always do, taking notes like crazy during the Saints game. And like you said, Tampa Bay has a lot of talent on that roster, and they were most everybody's darling in this division coming into the season. I didn't necessarily jump on that bandwagon mainly because they proved exactly why I didn't get behind them during the course of the year. They are extremely undisciplined. From the top, player-wise, from the top down. Jameis Winston is as talented a quarterback as there is in the NFL, physical-wise, but he's extremely immature and extremely undisciplined. But when he puts it together, that kid can be scary, and that offense can be scary. And they outplayed the Saints, and I was disappointed in New Orleans because they had it right there on a platter. They needed to win the game. Now, road games are tough in the NFL. Road games in interdivision especially are tough, but they had it right there, and I expected them to come out motivated, and in my opinion, they did not. As you guys did with Atlanta, both teams, both New Orleans and Carolina, stumbled and kind of tripped up going into the playoffs. Now it's a fresh slate for both teams. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of effort and what kind of game plan both Carolina and New Orleans come out with this Sunday.
Yeah, nobody seemed ready wanting to win the division on Sunday. I did see that what you're talking about with Jameis Winston was clear. I just quickly peeked at the game myself, and he's doing so many good things, and then he just throws the ball up into double coverage or just really kind of silly plays, it seems like, that negate so much of the things he's able to accomplish. But still, look, the Saints didn't look, while you guys may have missed this opportunity, you didn't seize the moment, you may have not played so great since we've last played each other. You've played well enough at times, but I tell you one guy who plays great each and every week, and that's Alvin Kamara. That man is freaking incredible, dude. What did he do to those players on that kick return? It was like he hypnotized them first with a little stutter, and then just gone.
Yeah, and when I saw him take the kickoff, I'm a big proponent for when the kick goes into the end zone, take a knee. Take a knee and let your offense do its job. And especially when he hesitated at the goal line, I'll spare the viewing public the words that I yelled rather loudly. But like one of you just said, it looked like he hypnotized every defender on Tampa Bay's kick coverage unit. And then you give that guy a hole and he's gone. He has such an explosive first and second step into the hole. And you give him a crease, he reads cutback lanes so beautifully. The guy is a special talent. I'm looking forward to seeing him in a Saints uniform for years to come.
Joey.
Yeah, he is special. He is absolutely dynamic. That's really the best way to describe him. He can beat you. He can outrun you. He can put a move on you that will leave you literally on your knees, or he can run over you. He can come out of the backfield. He can go off tackle. He can take it around the end. The kid can do it all. Unbelievable that he went so late in the draft as he did. Nobody could see this potential in this young man.
Joey, do you to this day, at this moment, if you go back, would you take him over Christian McCaffrey?
In a minute.
Wow.
Yeah,
just that easy.
I like McCaffrey. Don't get me wrong. I think he's very good, but Kamara is McCaffrey at 200 and with another 20, 25 pounds of muscle.
Or as Joey says, he's McCaffrey with some ass.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to say it. That's exactly what it is.
I agree. I think that if you said otherwise, if anybody who said that they would take McCaffrey still over Kamara would completely base that. Yeah, they're only basing that on what his college career alone. Then, right? Like, that's the only thing.
That is not a knock on McCaffrey by any means. Kamara's just special, and you just have those guys that they're just special. And
he's so good, he makes us forget about Kareem Hunt, dude.
Exactly.
Like that guy, like don't even like to me. It wasn't even a sniffing the damn offensive.
Right at the beginning of the year, it was all Kareem Hunt, and then Kamara shows up and starts playing like he's capable of, and it's like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. Did you guys by any chance watch the TCU bowl game?
No, it's highlights.
I think they're the purple team, right? Aren't they purple?
Yeah, they are. They are.
All right. So when I saw Kamara do that stutter step where he put everybody to sleep, like Kamara's like walked like he was about to take a knee. And then he saw people start to kind of pull up a little bit, and then he just went, and he had it all. It was just like over that hit. TCU ran this play, dude, where they were on their own. They were getting a kickoff in their own end zone, and a dude laid down in the end zone. He had a purple jersey on, and he laid in the purple paint flat. And the ball came to the other guy, and he then threw a lateral, but the dude gets up after the cat has been kicked, and the dude catches it, and they threw a lateral pass to him. And so he was like hiding in the end zone on his belly in the purple paint with the purple jersey. I thought, man, that's the type of that. You want to see people, you hear them imitation, it's a league, it's a copycat league. So if people aren't going to copycat Kamara's hesitation step, there's only one other thing you could do. And that is lay down in the end zone and try to get lost in the paint. All right, guys, the Panthers right now are 6 point dogs to the Saints. Saints have had their number twice this year. Joey, as we go into this game against the Saints, how do you feel the Panthers can match up against a team that has Drew Brees at quarterback, that has Alvin Kamara at running back, that has Coleman, who's just playing out of his mind? Their offense is well-rounded. They can run the ball. Their defense may be young, but has been far better than they've ever been. Joey, how do you feel the Panthers could step up, go on the road, and try to make this a game?
Man, the Panthers are gonna have to run the ball. I mean, they're gonna have to.
That's what the Bucs were able to do, were they not, Bob?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they didn't. At the end of the game, it's not like they had the Tampa Bay had a 200-yard rushing game or anything like that. But they came out of the gate and ran the ball extremely well with Peyton Barber, who, by the way, is an underrated back. But I did not think that Tampa Bay would be able to run the ball on them whatsoever. And since they were, just like against any defense, if you run the ball well, that opens up your entire playbook. And you guys know, from facing them twice a year as well. We just talked about how talented that Jameis Winston in that passing game is. So if there's a threat of a running game, those safeties can't come all the way up into the box. Again, therefore that it opens the entire playbook. And Tampa didn't run the ball well or a lot in the second half, but by then they didn't need to. The threat had already been established.
Yeah, they've been Joey. So running the ball is critical, particularly when you have the inconsistency at the passing game and a lack of talent there too. Don't you think, Joey?
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a lack of talent there.
So you have to run the ball. You establish that game. If you're able to run the ball and do really what the Panthers did in the second quarter against the Falcons, the best way to negate the threat of Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Mark Ingram is to keep them off the field. So,
yeah, and that, we talk about running the ball, and yes, that means incorporating, our running backs, Jay Stu, CMC, maybe even a little bit of Fozzie Whitaker, getting the ball distributed, throwing out of the backfield to the running backs. That can be an added dimension, but also running Cam. And I'm not talking about specific design plays for Cam. I'm talking about Cam dropping back, looking for somebody. Nobody open, take off.
Go. If you know it's not going to be there, then go.
Yeah, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate, because if he does it early in the games, that defense and defenders will start to creep up. They'll start to watch him more than they're watching the guys they're covering, and that's when we can bust a big play.
Definitely. Bob, let me ask you this. Since we need to do these things on offense, first we have, our wide receiver core is further depleted from when we played you guys last. Now, the fact that we are crying so hardly about losing Damiere Byrd, by the way, I understand why I'm crying that hard. It's funny now the rest of Panther Nation is crying along with me when it comes to Damiere Byrd. But the very fact is, undrafted free agent, 5'8", 180 pounds. If that's what's going to debilitate our offense, that's a little sad in itself. But tell us, where is your defense at right now? Where are you guys with injury, strengths, and weaknesses? Should we say first? Let's start with: are there any injuries on defense that might be a problem for you guys going into the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been building up during the course of the year. When we had last talked coming into the second Panthers-Saints game, I had expressed concern about the Saints linebacking core, and it had been thin all year. And then I can't remember whether Klein got hurt against you guys or whether it was the game after, but Klein's out for the year now, which means really their only traditional three-down linebacker in New Orleans is Craig Robertson, who he is a heck of an athlete and an underrated linebacker, but he does play a little bit undisciplined at times. And then you look at Manti Te'o. Manti Te'o has played, in my opinion, above what his career performance has been up to this point.
Is that the fake girlfriend, dude?
Yes.
How? I didn't know he was on the Saints until I saw him in this game. Is this his first year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they signed
the best football of his career. He absolutely has.
Yeah, he has. But I mean, he's not, in my opinion anyway, he's not a long-term solution. He's a flat-out liability in the passing game. Like you guys are going to have McCaffrey coming out of the backfield, lined up in the slot, moving them all over the formation, similar to what New Orleans does with Kamara. And there's not too many linebackers in the league that's going to match up with McCaffrey in the first place, and the Saints definitely don't have anybody that can. The linebacking core as a whole is very concerning to me, not only going into this game, but if New Orleans should win, moving forward from that, because you have to have athletic linebackers to match up against the Cam Newton-led offense. Because I'll tell you guys what, and I'm probably not revealing any deep, dark secrets here, it's not Cam's arm or passing ability that the New Orleans coaches, and for that matter, the New Orleans fans fear. It's Cam's legs. And, you get him moving, and you guys have just pointed out one of the keys that you thought to the game, and I absolutely agree, is to get Cam and that running game going early. As the saying goes, this is the playoffs. You go balls to the wall. So I expect Cam to be doing a lot of moving around, It's possible that New Orleans might use Craig Robertson to put a spy on him to make sure he doesn't break containment too awful badly. But this linebacking core really concerns me. Kenny Vaccaro in the secondary, he's out for the year. Believe it or not, I'm not too awful concerned about that one because the Saints still have 3 terrific cornerbacks in Lattimore, Crawley, and P.J. Williams. And the safeties, Marcus Williams and Von Bell, are playing very well also. I think the secondary as a unit is the strength of this defense. And then you have Cam Jordan up front, and the defensive tackles, Rankins, Onyemata, and Tyler Davison are playing well. But they've had some injury concerns at the opposite end position from Jordan. Alex Okafor was playing extremely well for the first 2/3 of the season, but he's out. Trey Hendrickson, who might actually be back for this game or the week beyond, he's a rookie, and he was playing the run and rushing the passer pretty well early on in the year. He's missed the last 3 or 4 games with an ankle injury, and we hope he returns because it's awful thin at that end position outside of that. George Johnson, a guy that they picked off the street about a month ago, he's been playing pretty well, but the position itself is still awful thin.
Joey, so actually I do want to say this is that I've already got some feelers out on social media. We're gonna have we've planted some. We've got some plants out there. They're gonna break up with Manti Te'o now and derail this whole thing. I've had some people inform me that they've been pretending to be Instagram models all season for this moment. Let me see. So again, it comes back to this: is that linebacker core has always been, I feel, it is kind of the one thing that can make or break the Saints, and it has not made them more often. While on our side of the ball, that is our greatest strength. Now let's switch to the offensive side. Are you guys tell me some injuries on the offensive line. Please tell me you guys are hurt there.
Teron Armstead is a bit of a concern. He sat out the Tampa Bay game with I think it was a thigh injury, and a lot of people were believing they just sat him more as a precaution than anything else to get him a little bit more rested for the playoffs. But Armstead has had injury problems big time in the last couple of years. That's really, as far as the offensive line goes, that's really the only major injury concern is a questionable Armstead. Because what happens there, if Armstead misses time or has to leave the lineup, Andrus Peat moves from left guard out to left tackle. And Peat is a serviceable tackle, but he's not the kind of guy I want going up against Mario Addison or Julius Peppers. You still want Armstead at that one tackle position. Ryan Ramczyk at the right tackle is played pretty well. And Peat is a very, very good left guard. He's, like I said, he's only a serviceable tackle. And if he ends up having to move outside because Armstead isn't a full go, they plug Senio Calamente into the guard position. And Calamente is a good lineman interior as well. But you've just severely weakened the left side, Drew Brees' blind side of the offensive line if Armstead can't be a full go. So we're all keeping an eye on this as it heads toward game time.
All right, Joey. Hit Bob with any questions you got for him right now. First of all, we gotta call out Panthers guy at FSU. Been watching a different Panthers team. He's in the chat room.
Exactly. I don't know what that guy is talking about.
We're watching 2 different teams. There's a guy going on about how Campbell's got all these weapons, and we're getting better. I haven't seen it, but last question, Joey. What's on your mind for Bob as we approach this game? Because this is a huge game for everybody involved. There's 3 teams for the NFC South. Imagine this: if the Atlanta Falcons could upset the Rams, and then it doesn't matter who wins our game, you can imagine that representation. Now, to me, what is so shocking is that I have completely believed that our division has just been so strong, but it seems like we have not played well against each other at times, particularly this past week. both the Saints struggling with Tampa, us looking just putrid. Joey, what's on your mind going into the Saints that Bob could help us out with?
Well, I guess, Bob, let me ask you this. How, they say in the NFL, it's very hard to beat the same team 3 times, right? Knowing, we have played each other so much this year, and, we have a long history against each other. What can the Saints do differently that will surprise the Panthers? Are they able to do anything that will come as a surprise to the Panthers?
You know what? I don't think either Carolina or New Orleans is going to be able to do anything game plan wise that's going to take the other completely by surprise. The two teams, they know each other so well. They are extremely familiar with each other. And it's almost, I don't know if you guys are boxing fans, and I think I've made this analogy before. When Carolina takes on New Orleans, it's like Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. A complete contrast in styles, even right up to the head coaches. Both Ali and Frazier, they knew by the time they met for the third time, they each knew what the other one had. There was going to be no surprises. If Carolina or New Orleans is going to be able to surprise the other one, it's not going to be through game planning. It's going to be through what I call a secondary weapon. In New Orleans' case, someone like a Brandon Coleman or a Tommy Lee Lewis or the Invisible Man of the Year, Willie Snead, coming up and having a big game. Or you guys were talking about him as I logged on Carolina's side, a receiver other than Devin Funchess or Artis Payne or Fozzie Whitaker stepping up and really having big games. And that's what you see oftentimes in a playoff game, especially with familiar opponents like this, is an underrated guy kind of stepping up and having a big game because other than maybe a few wrinkles that either Coach Rivera or Coach Payton might have, you're not going to take the other completely by surprise. You're just not.
Yeah, I think the Panthers should surprise the Saints and come out with the 3 tight end set and run everything from 2 or 3 tight ends. Just play to their strength. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. That's what I think the Panthers should do, but they're not going to. I bet you that would throw a kink in the Saints game plan.
Maybe a little bit, but at the same time, they're thinking this is that if we can shut down the run, that this is what I think the game plan is much easier for the Saints than it is for the Panthers. The Panthers have to ultimately stop 2 different weapons. They have to stop the downfield game with Ted Ginn Jr. and Coleman with Drew Brees. That's a good 3-person tandem right there. As well as they've got the 2 capable backs that can not only Ingram just bash you for 9 yards, 9 yards, 9 yards over and over and over again, but Kamara can do the same thing plus hit home runs. So the Panthers defense is going to have to play far better if they want to win than the Saints defense has to play to win. I'm not saying that the Saints defense is going to play better. I'm just saying that they just have to shut down one or the other. And if they can stop the run, then you're in good shape. And there's some concern for me now that Manhurts is on IR. We have not really been able to smash mouth football people this year, Joey.
No, we haven't.
So you're going to have to, when we say run the ball, it's going to have to be some creative ways of running the ball. And I'm not talking an end around on the second play of the game where everybody sees it coming.
Right.
It is going
to take more
than that. It's going to be Cam Newton. It's going to be Cam Newton running. That's all it's going to take.
Our defense can do that will really go a long way is tackle.
Damn right. Oh, God bless.
Tackle.
We're the worst tackling Panthers team I've ever seen.
Yes, and that's a big thing. If our defense can just tackle with the first guy that gets there, then we will be in good shape. But in that first game, how many broken tackles did we see against the Saints? That first game when we played them, there was broken tackle after broken tackle.
All right, let me hit with Bob with two last tough questions for him, and then we'll let him get out of here. First question is this. Drew Brees, will he be a Saint next year?
He absolutely is going to be a Saint. Not only next year, I think he has legitimately 2 more years of good football left. Bottom line is he's not going anywhere. And I said that all along. Coming into the season, I did throw a caveat out there that something along the lines of if this year's team would have bottomed out and finished a 5-11 or 6-10, something like that, they probably would have parted ways with both Brees and Peyton.
Right.
But obviously didn't happen. This is a good young team. Brees still has, he's certainly not in his prime anymore, but he still has some good football left. I see 2 more years from him, and I definitely see it in a Saints uniform.
All right, here's the second hard question for you, or at least it's hard for me to ask it. Who would you rather play in this wild card game, us or the Falcons? Because it could have gone a different way, correct? Like, I mean, some things could have happened where we're going to LA and you guys are facing the Falcons. So it's not like it was there. So if you had your magic wand, who would you play Sunday?
I'll answer that question in 2 different ways. Who would I rather beat? Definitely Atlanta. And I'm sorry to say this, guys, I think that New Orleans matches up a little bit better with Carolina from a Saints perspective, mainly because, and you guys have said it all night long, the lack of offensive weapons that Carolina has surrounded Cam Newton with, it's criminal. The guy.
Oh, my God, this was an outsider saying it, folks. An outsider has said it. It must be true.
And just like I said earlier in the show, no Saints fan or no Saints coach is afraid of Cam Newton's passing ability, and that's not only that's a knock on Cam. I admit that, but it's also he doesn't have any weapons to go to. I like Devin Funchess a lot, but he's not a number 1 receiver. He's not, and the other receiving talent around him, there is none. If I'm the offensive coordinator, I definitely move McCaffrey around the formation a lot more than what they have, to be honest with you. And that does give him another target. But while I am obviously a Saints fan, I like the way New Orleans matches up better against Carolina than I do Atlanta.
Gosh, that hurts. Now, last point on that is what is it that Atlanta has that is more problematic for you guys? Is it Julio?
Julio is obviously a big problem. And
a better running attack, you could say.
Yeah, and that's exactly, you read my mind. That's exactly where I was going. Julio is obviously a problem, but you have Lattimore and Crawley to at least control that problem.
Yeah.
But Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman are as talented as any duo of running backs in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I would take my Mike Kamara and Ingram over them. But
I think you're being a little too generous by saying they are talented. But I think you guys have the best 1-2 punch in the whole NFL, and the best 1-2 punch I've seen in a long time. Or one that I would, not saying this, is that there's been other tandems that have done great, had great seasons, stuff like this. I like the way they complement each other. Is that it doesn't, you put them both on the field, you don't lose anything. You can take one off the field, you don't lose anything. I feel like Kamara goes down with a concussion for a game, you're fine. To me, that is a balanced, and Kamara's a superstar, man. Superstar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
he is.
geez, I don't like those. Joey, you know what this sounds like is that, like, our defense, is we really have a 12-man team. We've got 11 defensive players in Cam Newton.
Yeah.
that is the Panthers team, is that if you want to stop that, is you frustrate that defense, which is, I mean, is not impossible to do at this point. It's not the best Panthers defense we've seen. It is good, but there are some questions, really just that corner. Other than that, corner and safety. But overall, is that the Panthers defense are going to have to win this game against the Saints. Bob, I guess, I mean, you're taking the Saints, obviously, to win this game, right?
What's the score?
What's that?
What's the score going to be?
I'm going to go 24-20 New Orleans, but I'll tell you what, guys, I'm nervous about this game. I have a bad feeling. And I can't put my finger on why. I feel like a hypocrite because I just got done saying, I think the Saints match up well against the Panthers, and I do. Yeah, but the playoffs, your mistakes are magnified 10 times, 100 times. And, you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees, but he's not played extremely well in recent weeks. And I've wrote about this it feels like almost weekly, especially over the second half of the season, about the Saints offense. This is not the same Saints offense that we have seen in the past. Kamara and Ingram are as good as any 1-2 running back punch in the league. And that's not only running the ball, that's coming out of the backfield as well. But the Saints don't have the diversified passing attack that you guys are used to facing every single year. Kamara has, I think, 80-something catches, 81 catches. And Michael Thomas has 104 catches. Outside of that, Ginn has had a pretty consistent season for him. And that's a pleasant surprise coming from me especially. But outside of that, if you shut any one of those guys down, no small task, but if you manage to shut any one of those guys down, that Saints offense is handcuffed. And I'm not used to seeing that after 11, 12 years of watching these guys play. Coming into the playoffs, you're facing a Carolina team with an extremely talented front four. I like Bradbury at cornerback. I know you guys have had some problems on the back end, but Bradbury and Worley, when they play well, they can create some turnovers. And something about this game just makes me extremely nervous. So I'm going with the Saints.
I think the only reason that makes you nervous is because we're a division team.
Well, and this is the third time this year we're playing.
Yeah, is that you just like, is your luck run up? Those types of things. Right. Is that's where that nervousness creeps in. And I would say one other thing is, and to me, what if I was a Saints fan, my biggest fear would be Sean Payton, and that is, can Sean Payton do what needs to be done, which is give the ball to Kamara and Ingram, because deep down inside he doesn't want to.
Well, he likes to chuck it all over the field. But Bob, honest to goodness, if the shoe was on the other foot and we were the ones,
we would feel nervous too.
Yeah, we would be just as nervous.
Yeah.
Now, how do you guys feel going into the game, though?
Well, Joe, you go first.
I think I think it's going to be close. I don't expect a 33-10 blowout. That's for sure. I think Carolina's gonna bring their best effort. In the press conference yesterday, they talked about, we're not worried about this, we're not worried about that. I think that's a load of crap. I think they're freaking worried. So I really believe they're going to be very focused this week. They're going to be very determined. And they're going to put on, what hopefully will amount to their best game of the year. And I'm hoping, I'm believing that the team can win the game in a tightly contested battle, 23-20, 21-19 kind of deal.
They've had to average, I think that both teams have averaged over 30 points a game against each other since Ron Rivera's been coach or something like that. Saints having the edge 33 to the Panthers 30 or something to that fact. But I don't feel good. And Panther fans are gonna get upset with me on this. And sure, I'm the fan that's going to be a fan before logic and reality. I'm going to tell you this: the last 2 weeks we haven't looked good, and there's nothing really that I've seen in the last 2 weeks that should make me want to feel good about this game. What I do think is that I think that we've got some stars on our defense, two particularly, Luke Kuechly and KK Short. So those two guys at any time can take over a game and really frustrate some people. So I think our defense is good. I don't think it's great, because while I think Bradbury is going to be a good corner in this league, he's still a second-year player. The same for Worley. And then right now when it comes to safety, we've got Mike Adams, Colin Jones, sorry, don't trust him one bit, and Jarris Byrd, who's played pretty well, I think, but at the same time is not Jarris Byrd from 5 years ago before he started getting injured. He hasn't had these injury problems. So I think our defense is good, but I don't think it's a defense that we could go against. I don't feel like this is that our defense can shut down a top flight offense. Not saying that they can't do it, but there's some years where your defense is so good, you're like, I want to play down Peyton Manning and those dudes, and we're going to hold them to 3 or 10. I don't know how. I think that's a lot to ask of this defense. And then on the other side, the offense, look, Christian McCaffrey is not Alvin Kamara, and Cam Newton is just going to have to. I guess we always have Cam. That's it. Like we have Cam and he can kill us, and we have Cam and he can single-handedly beat you guys. But there's not a lot to feel great about. I think there are some things to be hopeful about, and that is you're in. You're in, and all it takes is one game, and that's why and that's another reason you're nervous. Is it doesn't matter how good of a team you are. It doesn't matter how good of anything it is. A couple of bounces the right or wrong way, one bad hour, a bad quarter, and the whole season is for naught.
Oh, no doubt about it. And consider this too: you have a seasoned playoff veteran team in Carolina, and yes, Drew Brees is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and Sean Payton is a Super Bowl winning coach, and Max Unger won a Super Bowl with Seattle. Outside of that, look at the playoff experience on the Saints roster. There's a lot. And what worries me is with a young team, if things don't go well for you early, even at home, things can kind of spiral out of control. And in the snap of a finger, you're down 17, 21 points. If you get down even 2 scores to a defense as good as Carolina, and like you said, they might not be elite anymore, but I don't think the Saints are as talented offensively, as I just said, that we've seen in the past, where they can overcome a defense as good as Carolina and climb out of a hole. So, The first quarter is key to this game.
You're right. It's kind of, and this important point for the Panthers just in general, is it seems this is that it's a lot harder for the Panthers to play from behind. Can they do it? They have done it in the past, but they do better playing from ahead. So does every team. But it really puts that defense in a position where they can be a little bit more aggressive and not have to worry about some certain things as much, where it takes the pressure off of every play. Again, what we go to as well is that first down for the Panthers is so critical for us just getting some yards, man, and more than just if we can get more than 3 yards on first down, we can win a game. But there's a good chance that we're going to get 0 yards on first down, 0 yards on second down, or 1 yard. So it's like early. It's who can capture momentum early. And not that is going to drive the nail into the coffin, but the person that can get that magic in a bottle is better than one bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. So you got to get it early, and you try to keep it rather than giving it away and trying to capture it. I think that it's just going to be one of those games. I do think that it will be close because we generally don't see a lot of blowouts, except for the one in week 3, Joey. We happen to be there, and it could easily go that way for either team. You throw a pick 6, or you throw a pick on the 5 or the 15. This game could get out of hand for either team quickly, because if the Panthers could get ahead, that truly does negate the power of Ingram and Kamara to a certain degree. So those are the things you need to do. You want to beat the Saints. Here's my recipe: is keep those guys off the field and score some damn touchdowns, so you don't have to worry about Ingram being a battering ram against you, and you just try to keep Kamara under wraps.
That's it. That's all they have to do.
All right. Bob, we're going to get you out of here. Bob, tell them where they can follow your work. I know you're at Canal Street Chronicles. Tell them how they can find you on Twitter.
Yeah, and thanks again for having me, guys, and all the viewers out there. You sent some kind things, and I appreciate that. Again, happy holidays to everybody. But we can be followed at Canal Street Chronicles. It has a Facebook page that we like to be extremely interactive with. Canal Street Chronicles can also be followed on Twitter at SaintsCSC. My own personal work, obviously, is viewable on there. And my Twitter account is at BobbyR2613. And I also have my own Facebook account as well, Bob Rose. I even have, don't tell anybody, but I even have some Falcons fans as my friends on
Holy
Facebook.
Cow.
Twitter. But hey, as you guys know, I mean, I love to talk football with anybody. I consider myself, pretty classy as well. I don't take any cheap shots. So, I mean, I love a little jabbing back and forth. And you guys, the three of us have had some animated discussions over the course of the season. And it's been a lot of fun. I hope it has been for you guys as well.
Man, tremendous. You've been a tremendous guest all season, Bob. We love having you on the show. And don't worry, after one of us is sad next week, we will once again find a way to discuss it, I'm sure, in the future together over some internet beers. Virtual beers and football talk is the way I go. That's Bob Rose, Canal Street Chronicles, folks. Thanks a lot. Joey, we got a couple of last things, and we're going to get out of here, too. First, we got to knock out these cat calls. That is where we're going right now, is the cat calls came flying in. Well, first we got 2 from pregame, because you get a couple of days before the last game where people can call in, as well as then you get that reaction to the game and then that post reaction. So here we go. Let's knock these suckers out.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, this is Maurice Carter calling out of Andrew, North Carolina. I just want to say I enjoy the show. I'm a new fan, and I think you guys are doing one heck of a job. I think we have a great team. We have a very good shot at making the playoffs, and I think we have a pretty good chance of sneaking into the Super Bowl and surprising everybody by winning it. All right? Keep pounding, Panthers.
Keep pounding. Thanks for joining the show.
Professor, what's up? Joey's still Puerto Rican, but I called because I was watching the podcast, and I'm surprised how hard you're going in on Jameis Winston. Now, I love the Panthers. I'm a Panthers diehard fan. I do understand what you mean that we would jump on Cam Newton when he's doing something wild and going crazy on the sidelines. But, like, we still arguing about people with questionable that does things on the sideline that's weird. I don't want to say it like this to make it a race-baiting thing, but we're still talking about 2 African-American quarterbacks. And when they show emotion or passion, because, I mean, it's everybody do their own thing. Like Cam said, everybody got their own sauce, a little dripping. They dripping. But Tom Brady never gets complained when he's cussing out. I never see anybody try to drag him through the mud, even though he's a 5-time Super Bowl champion, which I do avoid 3 of those Super Bowls because of Spygate. To me, you cannot credit someone for doing something like that when you're seriously cheating. This is a pro NFL. If you can strip Reggie Bush, a college player, from all his accolades, and the only thing they did was furnish his mom a house to stay because he's making USC a boat ton of money, and he didn't get paid for none of that. And the only thing they did was just give his mom, because he is from the ghetto, and they just furnished his parents, his mom, and just like, you can come stay with him while he go to attend our school. They stripped everything from them, but Tom Brady, them, who Bill Belichick, supposed to be a defensive genius, and you get caught looking at offensive plays. A defensive genius cheating, trying to find out offensive plays, to me, that just totally discredits your whole career. Like, I mean, he is good in a sense, but that just, to me, put like just a stain on your career. And for those Super Bowls you won in those times, to me, those are stains. So Tom Brady, to me, he's like, even though it wasn't him, even though he got caught cheating too by deflating the ball, so it's just a cheating culture. Like, I just avoid 3 of those Super Bowls. And you're saying, too, about Jameis Winston raping. Ben Roethlisberger got accused twice for raping, but because he won Super Bowl and because of the image of Ben Roethlisberger, nobody ever throws his image under the mug. Or they even bring that up when he does something wrong. They never try to bring up those rape charges. But when people talk about Jameis Winston, they'll try to mutter that in, even though it was allegations. It ain't like it happened twice. But it was just allegations that got thrown in. And Crab Legs, come on, he's a football player. He's probably got tons of things there free. But I do love y'all. Thanks for the podcast. And I would like to say this, Panthers is going to the Super Bowl. When your quarterback can fumble the ball and you still score.
This is Lynch.
All right. I want to address that quickly because I think it's a great call. I agree with the points. The one thing I will kind of contest is that I think that is the point I was trying to bring about. I do think he raises an interesting point too, is that, we're having this conversation about 2 African-American quarterbacks. Look, I get that. What my point that I'm trying to make is that I feel like Jameis Winston has been able to avoid that spotlight and that criticism even more so than Cam, when there's probably even been more things to be critical about than Cam Newton. But I agree 100% is that this is something, is that there is a perception. I don't know how to phrase it. Perception problem. The idea is this: is for some guys, those things are embedded deep in America's psyche and American culture. Are they only involved with race? Maybe not. There's probably a lot of things to do with race, with I think generational too. And that is the way that one generation looks at a younger generation. And then you meld that over with race, attitude, things like that. And it can complicate it even more. But I agree is that this is why we say things like this, is that when Cam Newton does great, it's because of his freakish athleticism. But when, say, Tom Brady does it, it's because he's a student of the game. When Cam Newton does it, it's because he's a baby. And on the other hand, it's because Tom Brady's a fiery competitor. I see all of those things, but I will remind this, as we were playing Tampa Bay that week, and Jameis freaked against us. So that's where that conversation was directed specifically. But I think you raised a lot of great points, and we appreciate the call. And make sure you keep calling back, because those are the type of discussions we want to keep having. All right, this, by the way, is a very important call. Joe, are you there?
I'm listening.
All right, this is the call we've been waiting for like a month.
Panthers is going to the Super Bowl. When your quarterback can fumble the ball and you still score.
This is Lynn Shelnup from LaGrange, Georgia. I haven't been calling for the last few weeks. I've been sick with a flu and a bad cold. But I just thought I'd call. I got y'all on Cam Newton's video thing. Just tell him to keep on pounding and keep getting them rocks on in there, and please don't get hurt no more. We can't afford to have him losing the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl. So just tell him that get them poundings going on and don't get hit the balls and nothing else. Get on down that line and get them touchdowns. Thank you.
That's Leanne from LaGrange, and I don't know if you remember, but she brought that killer call that had everybody fired up a couple months, maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
She comes back. I thought she was, like, you could tell she was still feeling under the weather, little tame, but she said this: don't go get hit in the balls or nothing. I agree. Don't go getting hit. Sound advice. Sound advice under any circumstances. Don't go.
Words to live by.
Words to live by. All right.
C3, it's Cody Lashing. What's up? I'm going to leave 2 messages, and I'm going to do the most important message first. To Aaron, we love you, brother. We love you, we love you, we love you. C3, we're a family. The podcast, this has become a part of my life. I love what you boys do, and our thoughts and prayers are with you, man, through this time. I don't know how much has been talked about, and I'm not going to say more than just we love you, man, and we're here for you. And, yeah, we love you.
All right, that's an important call. That might be the most important call of the night, Joe. Lynn brought this up. Bad has happened in threes to Panther Nation or to the C3 family because, you know, Cody is right. We have built a community. We just hang out on Tuesdays. This isn't a podcast that we create. This is a podcast or that Joe and I create. This is a podcast we create. It's just hanging out on Tuesday, talking football, heading to the game like some homeboys in the car. But, you know, life at times can't only be football, and it can't only be homeboys in the car riding, but we can be homeboys together. And what I mean by that is, first we have to just to let people know is that Mel Mayock, Aaron Ford, his wife passed away this past week. She has been severely ill and been dealing with these issues I would say for some time now. I don't know how you quantify some time, but it is that this has been something that has been emotionally draining and physically draining for Mel Mayock, and I know that he is heartbroken that his wife has gone, and I know 100% that Aaron appreciates those kind words from Cody. He appreciates that type, even that small support, because there is nothing we can do in these moments for people. I mean, there truly isn't anything we can do that really alleviates these problems. But the only thing we can tell them is that we do love them and that we are their friends. And we'd like to continue to extend that to Abby. Carolina Abby, her husband passed away as well. We've had 3 spouses of very important people in the C3 family pass away. So we are very saddened by that loss. And where we're saddened the most is that we know that your hearts are broken and that we can't help. But other than say, God bless, and that we love you, like Cody says. Joe, is there anything, I mean, how else do we handle something like that?
No, that's, we are friends. We can't help but become friends when you do the type of thing that we do, when you commit to one night a week, gathering with the same people. You can't help but establish relationships, and in that establishing, you get to know people, you get to find out things about people, and honestly, you get to care about people. And, there is no words. There's no one thing you can say. There's no words that will alleviate something like this for a person that's going through this type of situation. That's why, when we say, please keep so-and-so in your thoughts and prayers, we mean it, because there's nothing directly you can do. You can offer your support, you can, say whatever, but those thoughts and those prayers go a long way, folks. And when we say that, you oftentimes hear it, but you just say it to say it. But when we ask you to do it because it does help. every person praying or wishing someone well, it does help.
I think the way it helps is that you let people know that you believe they're important.
Right.
And they are cared for. That's all it can be.
Right.
Is that, I mean, if you can't fix a problem, and we as men try to fix things, that's what we want to do, I feel like, or at least I relate to that, is I get frustrated. These are the moments that I struggle with because I can't fix them for people.
Right.
And I feel
make it better.
And I'm saddened by that. But the way we can help people is to know that they're cared about and loved. And thank you, Cody, for bringing that up and bringing that to the floor. All right, let's keep going with some football
Love
talk.
you, man. C3, Cody Lashing again. Now
Part 2.
Thoughts on the football game. And, man, I've never seen Cam Newton play that terrible. It's just, I'm the biggest Cam Newton defender, and I know that he has no weapons on the team other than Greg Olsen and Christian. Devin, he's a number 2 wide receiver, and we have no one. I mean, Ron Rivera is wearing T-shirts at press conferences, doing what Good Morning Football showed about them being a law firm or whatever, and it's all fun in theory, but we have no one creating a separation. And then Cam Newton is just, I don't know who he was throwing to. It was an embarrassing performance. At the time you're listening to this, it's still 2017 right now. So that performance puts a rest to this year. Cam has to be better in 2018. That will not fly in the Superdome because the Saints are up next. And I have a buzz, and I'm ready for the new year, man. Love you, boys. Keep pounding.
Well, yeah, I agree 100% with the call.
His speech?
That's how he hits it. I got a buzz. It was the New Year. It was New Year's Eve, right? And we were all. I do think one thing I did not mention, Joey, throughout the show, the Ron Rivera T-shirts of all these Cam love, like the super over the top love for Cam. I think that's him saying that he knows that he needs Cam Newton lobbying for him to be the head coach when new ownership and management comes. And he is kissing ass to Cam Newton. Could be something there. Maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. But hey, man,
I think you're right. I believe that Cam vouching for Ron will go a long way in the eyes of whoever the new owner or new GM may be.
Yep. Yeah, you certainly don't want the opposite.
Right. Absolutely not.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Hi, this is Carlton Davis. I'd like to say what's up to the Cat Chronicles, Tony and the mean Puerto Rican Joe, and of course to the Panther fans. Tony and Joe, I have a question. Is it me or do you guys get sick and tired of Ron Rivera after every loss, always taking up for whether it's the players or the coordinators? If he say one more time his famous lines of, well, we gave ourselves opportunities to do something special, or his famous other line, we was 1 or 2, 3 plays away from making a difference. If he says that one more time, boy, I swear, I might have to come to Charlotte. So what do you think, Tony? You think Rivera should do the Belichick approach and stop defending people when they mess up? Make everybody take accountability, whether it's coordinators, players, whether it's the calls or execution. Let me know what you think.
All right, I think that's a great question, great call. I've stuck by this. I think through and through is that I thought that for a long time, Ron Rivera before the 2015 season fell on the sword for his players and his coaches all the time, and it was authentic. I thought that he started to get a little bit more blamey on execution and the players in the past 2 seasons. I think what you're bringing to light is important is we want authentic Ron Rivera. That's all we want, is we want him to say this: we were trash, we were bad, and we're going to get better. This falls on the coaches, this falls on the players, this falls on all levels. That makes more sense than what he said in this case was, are you concerned about this last game? No, I'm not concerned at all. Well, if you're not, you're insane. Right. Is that you can't look at that game and go, I mean, we must have watched a 45-0 blowout and the Panthers won, is what he saw if there's no concerns. So I want to see Ron Rivera authentic in his criticism. I want him to be a coach, a player's coach, and say, you know what, this falls on the coaches. Me first. If my coordinators aren't getting the job and we're not doing well to prepare these players, that's on me. And then I have to rectify that with Mike, with Coach Wilkes. But then the players do have to hold up their end of the bargain. They have to come ready to be coached. They have to be ready, and they have to play better, and they have to execute. That's authentic. And what I think it is just balanced. It's saying this is I'm falling on the sword because I'm not going to scapegoat people, but at the same time, I'm not sugarcoating anything or being unrealistic. That's my position on it, Joey.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All we want is an honest assessment from the coach. That's all we want. Coach, team look like crap out there. You think there's anything to worry about? Oh, no, we're fine. We don't want that. We don't want to hear that. We want to hear, yeah, we look pretty bad. We have to make some changes. Things have to be different. We're not coaches. We're football fans, and we realize that. So the coach just needs to admit it.
Amen. All right. Last call.
Keep pounding.
Wait, I think this might be Cody again.
C3.
Yep. All right, we're good. We're out on cat calls. The cat calls are done. Thank you, Cody, Carlton, all the new callers. We appreciate it. Fantastic discussion that has been added to this podcast, and a great component now is getting your voice heard on the podcast to thousands of Panther fans. You can continue to build on that conversation by calling the Cat Calls line, which is open 24/7. You just leave a voicemail. There is a 3-minute, I think, limit. So just know that you might keep talking and the phone is hung up. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We appreciate you contributing to that, and it just makes this show so much better each and every week. I do want to encourage everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, to go ahead and hit that like button, to subscribe, and to share this podcast with a friend. Email a friend. How many podcasts have I heard? I've gotten a message from my friend that says, check out this podcast. I think you'll like it. So just send one person a personal message that says, hey, you're a Panthers fan. You would dig this conversation. They will become part of this family. I promise you. Joe, we got to just knock out some ice up picks. I guess, who you thinking? I do ask you before you do your ice up pick, you think the Panthers pull this out against the Saints?
I do. I think, like I said earlier, they come back, play the best game of the season thus far, and they win a very, very tight game, 21-20, something like that.
God, I think the Panthers could win. I think we can win, but right now I think that the Saints are a better team.
Well, no, honestly,
say that. I can't argue that. I think they're better. I think their offense is just leaps and bounds ahead of ours. And does that mean I don't think the Panthers can win? I think they could. I think they've been there before. But if I was betting, I wouldn't. I wouldn't pick them to win. And that hurts my heart to say. I want to feel more confident after 11-5 season going into the playoffs.
Right.
But I just really I don't. And I guess I'm going to take a lot of heat from people like that too. But I will pick the God. I'm going to pick the Panthers to win. All right. Let's do this. Let's do our ice up picks and get on out of here.
Do you think the Falcons beat the Rams?
No.
I don't either. I think it's too much to ask for, going across the country. Rams, the way they've been playing lately, man.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat them.
I think they're in a good place right now, so I just can't see the Falcons going in and beating them. If the Falcons were at home, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
But on the road, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think the Rams are a better team too. I mean, well, I don't know if I would say better. Is that they're playing better.
They've been playing good. That's the thing for them. They've been playing
Todd
really
Gurley
well.
is just a freaking star. I mean, it just comes. I mean, he's just a different level of player, and that's kind of how I think Kamara is that, and I think that's how Cam Newton is. I think Julio's like that. I just think that Todd Gurley negates Julio, and yeah, I think you're right. Is that Aaron Donald is going to give them problems, man?
Yeah, the Rams' defense is better, I think.
Yeah. All right, so this is the time of the show where we do the Ice Up Picks of the Week, where we tell someone in the world to ice up, to toughen up, to get it together. Everybody is fair game. This is our homage to Steve Smith. Joe, who do you got for your Ice Up pick this week?
Well, I wish I had a name, and I've looked everywhere for it, and I just cannot find it. With the passing of the holidays, I know we can all relate to being in a hurry. I'm sure at one point during this past holiday season you were in a hurry. It is times like these we find ourselves ignoring the old adage, look before you leap. Oftentimes, leaping first will result in some type of a minor inconvenience. Maybe you forgot a grocery item or picked up something you thought that was on sale, only to find out when you go up to check out, it's not on sale. These things are just minor consequences, mistakes we make by being in a rush, but mistakes that we can easily live with. Well, for one unlucky person, being in a hurry put him in a rather precarious position. A young Danish man was leaving the area of Copenhagen known as Christiania.
Oh, that place is awesome. I've been there.
Yeah, that's what I've read. He jumped into what he thought was the backseat of a taxi. He must have been tired because the car that he thought was a taxi waiting to give him a ride home was actually a police car. No big deal, right? Just apologize to the officers and explain that you made a mistake. Well, for this young man, it was not quite so simple. This guy was so tired because he had rolled 1,000 joints and they were with him. Now,
1,000?
we all know that the laws against marijuana are very relaxed over there in Denmark and Copenhagen and Christiania in particular. But they're not quite that relaxed. So the police report initially, the police initially issued a statement saying that there was going to be some heavy fines, but they have since released a statement indicating that there is going to be some time in some type of a correctional facility. The moral of this story is, as Nelly says, you ain't from Russia, so why you Russian?
That's my favorite line. That's my favorite. I always like to say.
1,000 joints on him. I'm saying to you, brother, ice up, because when you're riding dirty, you better know where you're going.
All right, let me tell you this: is I've been to Christiania before, and it is we had more fun there than when I was in. I went on a trip to Europe where we went 6 countries when I was in college, and we had more fun there than Amsterdam. And that place was bought by hippies. It was literally a dump. I mean, a dump after World War II. It had been a place that had been destroyed and became a dump, and it became a place where heroin addicts were going and doing hard drugs, and these hippies bought this mess from the country. They bought it from Denmark, and it's right in the middle of the city. Bus number 8, folks. If you're ever in Copenhagen, just get on bus number 8. It will take you right there. And it is straight. It is just a bunch of hippies in the nicest kind of relaxed atmosphere. What I will say is this, is even the people of Christiania would tell that dude to ice up. Good God. All right. Yeah, really cool day. When you walk in, the first thing you see, Joe, you walk into that place that says, no police, no cameras. And then there's a next sign, and it says, no hard drugs. And it's just kind of a hipped out commune, dude. Crazy, crazy place, crazy story. And, dude, tip your police cab driver next time rather than being a jerk about it. All right, my ice up pick goes to the NFC South, the toughest division in the league, and nobody looked to have wanted to win it this past Sunday. The Panthers played like garbage. The Saints squandered one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and as the Panthers were playing like garbage, the Atlanta Falcons did everything possible to not win that game. So for a team that's sending 3 teams to the playoffs, for a division that's sending 3 teams to a playoffs, I thought we would be more competitive in that last week. Everybody had something to play for. Nobody looked like they were ready to win. I hope we show a better effort in the playoffs, particularly the Panthers. Need the Panthers to move on. So NFC South, ice up. Joe, this is a C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where you can follow us on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Joey, where can they follow you on Twitter, sir?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Joe Riolano. I want to thank you guys for listening tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. We got something big to look forward to Sunday, so keep pounding.
Tony Dunn here. It's the C3 podcast where we bring you the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We do it each and every week because you guys are the best. You make this conversation, you make this podcast go. So we hope to hear from you on social media. We hope to hear from you on the Cat Calls line, and we will talk to you next week. Live or die. Panthers either proceed or they don't, but we'll be back here chopping it all up with you.